Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a sea shanty Bladesinging Wizard multi-class with the Swashbuckler Rogue in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a requested build and I was excited to cover it. I've tested a few different versions of this and I think I got something that works very solidly. I think it's best to actually start with the Bladesinging Wizard, as spells are just super useful, and getting that extra attack at level 6 is a very nice power spike going into Act 2. And for cantrips, we always want to have Booming Blade here. This is huge because there's a ring in Act 1 which allows us to add our intelligence modifier to our spell casting. Very good. Also Mage Hand, it's really nice to be able to throw healing potions or water bottles to set up damage. And then also Firebolt, explode things. Minor Illusion's another good one, or Bone Chill too. As for the spells we'll be selecting at level 1 here, I think it's best to have the shield spell, Magic Missile, and Mage Armor can have its uses as well if you don't want to wear light armor. Early game, it's probably best to wear robes and use this, but later on in the game, you do have some better options. Long Strider just makes sense for our ability to run further, faster, and stronger. The Thunderwave spell, being able to push people off of ships, this works well for that. And either Find Familiar or Grease for our last spell. I wish there was a parrot, but we can go with the Raven and just kind of pretend. Now, the ability scores, this is where it gets a little dicey, because we do need Constitution, we need Dexterity, we need Intelligence, and we also need Charisma for our Bladesinging, or for our Swashbuckler abilities. This is actually a very good candidate for a class to use the Gloves of Dexterity. So if you're not using the Gloves of Dexterity, this is a perfect opportunity to. You could also dump your Constitution if you want to late game use the Constitution Amulet. But getting 18 Dexterity just works very well. So we can dump that stat. We can have a good Intelligence, good Constitution, and then we can actually get our Charisma up to a good level as well. So if you wanted to go with something like this, you could roll with that. You could also go throwing and then take the Tavern Brawler, boost our Constitution. It's an option. It's not going to be the best one, but we do have one of our stats being a little bit odd. So you can go with something like this, or you can swap around the Constitution with your Charisma as well. At level 2, we get to choose our subclass. Bladesinging, very strong. You get a +2 to armor class, movement speed increases, and a +2 to Constitution saving throws. This will scale up as well. And we get to choose a couple more spells. Chromatic Orb and Grease. Bladesinging Wizard, we're going to go with a short sword, a dagger, or a scimitar, I guess, would fit perfectly. And then for our weapons, or for our prepared spells, something like that can work. Just note the Bladesinging Wizard's weapon doesn't actually change your proficiencies. You get proficiencies in all of those. It's just a free weapon, like the Quarterstaff. Into level 3, we get access to level 2 spells. Misty Step, Scorching Ray, Invisibility, and Darkness are some very useful spells to have here. Having Misty Step to be able to get away and Scorching Ray for damage is nice. Invisibility obviously is very useful. And if you want to do critical hits, Hold Person's a good way to do that. We can also then add in Misty Step or Scorching Ray here to our spell list. Misty Step being super useful to have for survivability's sake, so we'll go with that. We get another cantrip here, Bone Chill, because we're going to go into Act 2, and this can help out with a lot with the final boss of Act 2. And for the next spells, we'll take in Hold Person and Invisibility. I do want to mention Shadowblade's probably the best choice here. Shadowblade is extremely good because you can conjure up a blade, does a lot of damage. So if you don't like invisibility, you can take Shadowblade. It also doesn't require concentration. Now, we're going to go with an ability score improvement on our intelligence. But if you're the face of the party, Charisma can also work, even though we're not really spell casting with it at the moment until we get our Swashbuckler abilities. At level 5, we get access to level 3 spells with Fireball and Lightning Bolt being two of the best. Counterspell, also a very useful spell to have, so I'd recommend grabbing that one as well. And then we'll prepare spells as followed with Lightning Bolt there as well. So pretty nice to have that there for extra damage. Level 6, extra attack. Big power spike, as I mentioned. We'll take Counterspell, and Haste is another really good spell because this will give you a +2 armor class, double your movement speed, and you get an extra action, so that's an extra 2 attacks, which is really good. Glyph of Warding be another choice if you don't want to take Haste. And even Darkness, as this fits thematically for a rogue to be able to hide out in darkness. You do have to have an item that gives you dark vision, however. So Shar Spear, Eversight Ring, and there's a helmet, the Steel Watcher helmet, that'll also give you that. So it's another consideration if you'd like. And we'll prepare Counterspell. It's Counterspell. Use it. And at level 7 here, this is when we can actually multi-class in the rogue. I'm going to show you 2 different versions of this, so we'll add in the rogue here. This gives us our choice in skill proficiencies. I'd recommend having stealth proficiency. And if you want to be the face of the party, you could go with the proficiency you could take persuasion proficiency as well. But I think that stealth just works really well for how we're going to play. And then you can also take like an insight, intimidation, or performance for your +2 there. So it's really nice to have. Level 3, we get our bonus action abilities to hide, dash, and disengage. It's good. And nothing else to say there. And at level 3, this is when we get to choose the Swashbuckler. This gives us a sneak attack that does not require advantage to trigger, and you do have to not have disadvantage. This will also give you a +2 to initiative, and it'll scale with rogue level. And we get fancy footwork. If you do an attack, you can run away and not get hit with an opportunity attack. That's also really nice. So it fits perfect. Level 4 gives us our flick of the wrist, dirty trick. Look at the flick of the wrist, vicious mockery, and sand toss. Now, these do have, like, if you're using dirty trick, flick of the wrist, and the vicious mockery, these use this is charisma based, and then this one here is dexterity based. So that's why we want to have both of them very high. But at this point, I'm going to show you where the wizard goes, because there's different levels that we could go with. So we'll go with an ice storm here. Minor elementals are nice, but confusion's also a good choice, and greater invisibility. This is going to be great if you want to go full in on your stealth capabilities. So you can take that as well as ice storm for crowd control. Having ice storm up just creates chaos. We like chaos, so we're going to prepare that. We'll prepare ice storm. We'll also prepare a counter spell there. Sometimes if you switch between classes, it'll cycle off some of these spells, but you want to make sure that you do have them prepared, because there's a lot of really useful ones here. So we'll roll with that. And then into level 8 here, this is when we get our second feat. We can then take our confusion spell. Minor illusions also really nice to have, so, or minor elementals really nice to have there too. And we'll take confusion. If you want, minor elementals are pretty useful. And then we can take an ability score improvement to max out our intelligence, or we can put some points into charisma there if you find you want to buff up your charisma based abilities from the Swashbuckler. Now for the final level, there's 2 ways we can go. If you really like Cone of Cold for that big splat, big amount of damage, go with this. But yeah, you get level 5 spells if you go this route. Otherwise, we're stuck at level 4. And with this, we get 3 feats, and we get the dirty tricks, which are nice to have. So you can go this route. We can boost up our charisma there. We can take alert going first in combat. It's also really nice. If you want, the savage attacker reroll damage dies also works too. But yeah, we go with either alert, charisma increase, or intelligent. We already got our intelligence max, but yeah, I'll show off what the gear looks like. So what we'll be rolling with, the Helmet of Arcane Acuity makes a lot of sense here, because whenever we do an attack, we get a +2 to our spell save DC and spell attack rolls, meaning we're much more likely to land our spells. It also gives us a +1 to dexterity saving throws. That's good too. Cloak of Protection for better armor class and better saving throws. The ballast armor is the best in slot, but whatever light armor that you got early on in the game, or again, as I mentioned, you can use robes and then have mage armor active, as that's going to give us a pretty good armor class, 13 base, and then additional dexterity modifier. But this gives us an increase to our initiative as well, but it makes targets vulnerable to piercing damage. If we don't want to use Shadow Blade, that's going to be a good option, because it's going to double our damage. And it makes things like our Knife of the Undermountain King and Dolor Amaris much more powerful. This will give us the advantage on attack rolls against slightly or heavily obscured targets, similar to the Shadow Blade, but without using it. It also increases our critical hit chance and damage if we roll a 1 or a 2. Dolor Amaris will give us an additional 7 damage on a critical hit, which is double because we got the ballast armor, so that hits very hard. Cloak of Protection, Gloves Dexterity, as mentioned, to make up for the lack of dexterity. Then we got the Evasive Shoes for the +1 armor class. I also got the Ring of Arcane Synergy here. When you deal damage with a cantrip and Booming Blade counts as a cantrip, you get Arcane Synergy, adding +5 to our damage from the intelligence modifier. It's huge. Ring of Protection, better armor class, and the Amulet of Greater Health. And finally, we get the Hellrider Longbow for that +3 to initiative, so we definitely are going to be going first in combat. And a little pro tip, if you know you're getting yourself into a fight, you can drop healing potions and have your mage hand there to be able to throw it at you and keep you alive a lot quicker. And it also works if you have a group of your teammates grouped together, because you can heal multiple at a time. And we rolled a 20 for our initiative, so we're going first with a D4. Not many people are going to roll initiative higher than us. First thing we want to do is put on our Blade Song. Now, this is going to give us a nice buff. We could have also used Greater Invisibility to go stealthy and start combat that way. This gives us a 26 armor class with haste and the Blade Song active, so that's pretty good. Now, we got some spells for crowd control, like Ice Storm we could start off with, but we can also set up our Arcane Acuity first, and then also our Arcane Synergy. So a single Booming Blade is going to give us a nice boost to both of those, so we can roll with that. Critical hit 52, yeah, that was a lot of damage. So now we have 2 turns of Arcane Synergy, which adds our spellcasting modifier to our weapon damage, and 4 turns of Arcane Acuity. Pretty good. And then we can follow that up with a Rakish Sneak Attack. So this target here, and we also have advantage because this is a shadow. Boom, Sneak Attack, 54 and 8 damage. That's pretty good. So now we got ourselves a +6 to Arcane Acuity, meaning we got a +6 to our spell save DC, So we're much more likely to land our wizard-based spells. And I guess we also have another prepared slot. So even though since we're in combo, we can't prepare, but you could have a Shadow Blade or something there. And then we're going to use crowd control like the Ice Storm here. And boom, that took out the target we wanted to take out and created difficult terrain. So what's nice about the difficult terrain is now we got some form of crowd control set up to deal with the enemies. And then we got our bonus action dirty tricks that we can use now. I'd recommend turning off dual wielding at all times just because you want to use it for this attack. The dirty trick flick of the wrist will use your weapon attack damage, so we can go with that. Potentially disarm them. And 42 damage on that, just absolutely nuts. Yeah, we didn't need to go that hard, but we did, and we literally bent them over their side because that hit hard. That's the benefits of having arcane synergy. But this also stacks up our arcane acuity, which is now a +8, so very good. And we also get advantage on our next attack from our dirty advantage. So yeah, we pretty much non-stop attack with advantage. Now, as I mentioned, the mage hand here is really good for being able to set up our team. So we can go boop and then throw it over here if someone needs healing. Shadowheart needs some healing, so we'll give her a little bit of supreme healing potion, +40. Booyah. We didn't lose our action. We didn't lose a bonus action. We threw it with the mage hand. And now we're surrounded, so we actually can't use our sneak attack because there's 2 enemies near us. But that's not a worry because we can then use Booming Blade to take out one of these targets. This one has a little bit less health. We have advantage on our attack. And boom, that's all we needed. We somehow blew up their concentration and damaged them with the Call the Weak. This is nice. So for some reason it won't let us use this on our next turns. This can only use once per turn, but typically per turn you can use that every single time. Not sure why that's not happening for us, but we'll then just do a melee attack here. That was more than enough. 36 and 4 damage, perfect. And then we'll move on over here, and we have more targets to take care of. So there's 3 of them right over there. Now the thing is, we have range. We don't have to get in melee combat to be able to deal damage. We got Scorching Ray, we got Ice Storm, and we got Fireball. So we can do an upcasted Fireball. If it's able to hit all 3 targets, that's ideal. When we have a few level 4 spell slots, we want to use them wisely. So we'll do it with a Fireball, which should be enough to hopefully take out one of the targets. Maybe, maybe not. It wasn't enough, but hey, it's a thought that counts. Now we also have to do a bonus action ability, so we'll go over here and then use... You could use the Sand Toss as well to blind a target, or the Vicious Mockery. Because this, just listen, it's too funny. One shot him, 2. Words were too savage, ripped him apart. So yeah, you can use that at range if you can't get close to an enemy for some reason, and that's just a nice way to deal with extra psychic damage. Furthermore, if you have the Resonance Stone, that's even upgraded psychic damage. Another thing about a mage hand is sometimes it'll draw the targets to do command on it, and it's immune to being commanded, so it makes them waste a higher level spell slot. I don't know why the AI does that, but it does. Now, whenever you see targets lined up like this, I always just think Lightning Bolt. I could go with a, we could go with a sneak attack. I'm gonna do a sneak attack. If this doesn't take it out, 54, it took her out. Then we can follow up with a Lightning Bolt there that we shoot from our sword to finish them off. So that is a sea shanty swashbuckler mixed with the Bladesinging Wizard. I was requested to do a build covering this, and it was a lot of fun playing with this one. So if you have any requests that you would like to see come to Baldur's Gate 3, let me know in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.